First thing that we are discussing is a tweet by my ex-boss, Gaurav
Yes,
Munjal. Gaurav is co-founder of An Academy.
$465 billion in investments in AI globally and a less than $1 billion in India. We are busy building Bhujia companies while others are dominating in AI. We've built a $10 billion company out of
Bhudia
Bhujia.
called Haldiram.
We have no $10 billion AI company. This is a company called Friend. They're doing $4 million in monthly revenue.
Friend is an app where you can talk to people from the other sex. With UPI autopay, this is our India's moment, which US had in 90s because they had credit cards and subscription billing was a thing. What is the most iconic thing about Christmas that people know? It's Santa Claus. Out of nowhere, he's like, I want to talk to Santa. मैंने बोला, "अभी से क्यों?" I realized we have good enough models right now to have a chat with somebody with a PFP or something like that. If somebody puts some more research into it, they can probably create an app where you can video call Santa and have a chat with him. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello. How was your week, Shobhit?
Good week. What's up with your mic?
Long story that is not meant for the internet.
But all
But
the comments who are saying that we have bad audio, it's very temporary. Please.
we're gonna fix it by the next episode.
Okay, let's just get directly into it. We have a not really a jam-packed schedule today, but we have a schedule today.
It has been a quieter week. There's not as much
Yeah,
happening.
the weeks are small, but the decade is long, or something like that. Okay, so the first thing that we are discussing is a tweet by my ex-boss, Gaurav
Yes.
Munjal.
Who is Gaurav
So
Munjal? Please give the audience
yeah, I
some
think
context.
everybody should know ideally if you're listening to this. But Gaurav is a co-founder of An Academy, and he is the CEO. He's still the CEO. He's been active angel. He has been I think he has probably invested in some funds also. I'm not really sure, but yeah, I mean, recently he has been actively vocal about the state of technology in India, and so I think last week or this week specifically, I think he tweeted something that we are going to discuss. So Anmol, what was the tweet?
The tweet was $465 billion in investments in AI globally and a less than $1 billion in India. We are busy building Bhujia companies while others are dominating in AI.
Firstly, we need bhujia as well, okay?
I
Gaurav, please.
100% agree. Like, why are we dunking on Bhujia?
We
Like
have
this is
so many other things to
insulting.
dunk on. I mean,
Yeah.
Gaurav, if you're listening, dunk on something else, dude. You're from Rajasthan, I'm from Rajasthan. We need our bhujia.
And as we've talked about in the past, like we've built a $10 billion company out of
Bhujia
Bhujia.
called
We
Haldiram.
have no $10 billion AI company.
Okay, that thing out of the way.
That was the most important thing out of this tweet.
Gaurav essentially saying that what essentially he's directly saying that there is no AI activity happening in India, especially the investments are not happening in India. I think at least from the small research that I did, there is a misattribution of these investments specifically in India. So what I mean by that is, let's say I start a company, an AI company tomorrow, and I sort of have a Delaware registration and then have an Indian entity of it, and then I raise money in Delaware because it's easier to do all that stuff in the US rather than in India. But I'm sitting in India. My customers are all over the world. It can be in India. It can be in the US as well. If you're saying that in India we have less than $1 billion of investments in AI, I think these sort of places are sort of being omitted from that data set. And if you do omit that, then obviously like we don't really have a lot of AI investments going on, but from what I've researched, it's not as bad if you include these. But if you don't include these, I mean, Gaurav's completely correct here.
But okay, I mean, I think there's 2 points, two pushbacks I'll have for you. A, like, what is an Indian company? Or like what constitute like Indian investments into AI? Like if an Indian firm which is domiciled outside of India, investing in an Indian founder who has moved to the US, building his company from the US. with customers in the US, with value creation and capture in the US, an Indian company.
Maybe not, right?
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
that's not the Indian company, but
Huh.
if let's say the founders are here, the team is here, they have a sales team in the US, they have a sales team in somewhere in the Europe, but majority of the team is in India, I would still consider that an Indian company. For example, what fix, right?
Yes.
Would you consider that as an Indian company or not?
I am of the opinion that if a company is incorporated in the US and has customers in the US, it's an American company. Because if you go ask a VC in the US if they think of that as an Indian company, they'll say no. They're going to be like, our India exposure is companies that are physically domiciled in India.
I think
Like
in that in
Freshworks, for example, is an
fresh
American company.
Freshworks is an American. Yeah, makes sense. I think that way, it's a pushback probably on the political side rather than the people side of the country.
Fair, okay, fair enough. But I think the other thing I'll say to you is like, okay, maybe we're not 1 billion, maybe
Hmm.
we're 2 billion, maybe we're 3 billion, but that's basis points of like the total investments in AI. Like 465 billion, may 1 billion is 0.2%. Let's say we are at like 4.5 billion, which is also being fairly generous, I would say. I don't think we're at that much. That's still a 1%. If we look at total venture and PE investments, I mean, India is significantly smaller than the US, but the disparity is not that pronounced as it is in
Hmm.
AI.
Yeah, I think what really surprised me is globally it's at 465, right? I think that was something very, I did not expect that to be that high. And I think we can assume 80% of that would be in the US, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
still, I think 400 billion out of the 480 or 460, whatever, right, is
yeah,
still in the US. It's still, I think that is like super high. It's,
yeah, yeah. I mean, let me put things into perspective. In the US in 2025, so this year already, there have been 24 AI companies that have raised $100 million or more.
hmm.
In India, we have zero.
Zero.
So, like, that's an
Yeah.
infinity ratio.
I think currently AI is more of a B2B thing than a B2C thing, at least as of now. And whenever that is the case, like India sort of lags behind. I think we have discussed this earlier as well.
Yeah,
Why India has such great B2C apps but not equivalent B2B apps? Because we don't have the feedback cycle going on that we do with the consumers, because our businesses, they are already efficient, I guess. They don't
yeah,
really
yeah,
spend a lot on technology, and their inputs are pretty low anyway. So I mean, they don't sort of find value in spending money on technology, except of course for the enterprises. Like the SME market in India for tech is sort of
very true.
non-existent.
Yeah, yeah. And I think like the other thing with B2B is like if you really want to win on the frontier in new B2B anything, you have to be where the frontier of these businesses are, which
Yeah,
is America.
which is
At that
America.
point, you if you're moving early on, then you're basically an American company.
Yeah, makes
Like
sense.
you have to become like to win in AI and B2B, you have to be an SF native company. Like you need everyone to think you're from San Francisco. Other than China, that's their whole unka kutta pura ecosystem hai. But if you want to win on the globe, then you have to be SF native, and everyone in SF needs to know you. And I can only think of one company from India that falls into that.
Which is,
Composio.
but you would consider them a US company though, right?
Yeah, I would consider them a US company. But
Yeah,
started in India, now in the US. But founders who started a company from here who are now running a US company, they are one of the only ones that come to my mind as someone who's been able to have a good early start of being SF native.
makes sense. I think it's also probably just our ignorance. We pretty sure don't know. There would be some companies, at least more than one for sure, who.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Well, I mean, like think about it. Like, I guess like there's application companies like Atomic Work. Sure, they're doing a great job. Are they like the leading, most interesting AI company in America? Probably not. Nvidia is doing great, for example. Nvidia also didn't start off as a AI native company, so to speak. So they're Their revenue ramp up has been impressive, but it's not as impressive as Lovable going from zero to however tens of $1 million in a year.
Another company, probably, I don't know if they've shifted, but Emergent.
Yeah, yeah.
I think they are basically making something like Cursor.
Yeah.
Basically, it's an IDE for developers. I think they are also shifting to, or maybe they have shifted to the
To the
US.
US. I mean,
Yeah,
they started off being a YC company. So they've been, and they did raise money from an Indian firm, though, Together Fund. But interestingly, like all of most of the companies we've talked about, I was talking to an investor who led multiple of, or like was closely associated with the multiple of these companies. Pratyush used to be at Together Fund.
hmm.
And I was asking him, oh, like, why are we so behind in AI? Like, why is everything so disappointing? And he was like, look, like every new cycle, like India's always behind in the what do you call it, the S curve of adoption. His argument is that in AI, at least, we're not as behind. Like that we've made more progress earlier on than the cloud wave and the mobile wave. I do see some merit to that argument that like AI waves maybe what like 2 years old, and we've had at least a couple of companies that are known in America. But my kind of pushback to him or kind of thought is the AI wave is so much larger than the cloud wave or the mobile wave, and the companies that are being created at the top are so massive, and none of them have been Indian so far. So earlier to this wave than we've been in previous waves, but we are still so far behind in terms of like building a global best in class company.
The whole problem is again the feedback cycles. Selling to the US or wherever those businesses are that will be early adopters for this technology, you have to be closer to them, and I think for that you have to be in the US, because I think there they really have a great application for AI. In India, like humans are cheaper than tokens.
Yeah, I mean, like there's this company called Footwork that does like distributed telecalling as a service. So like if you don't have your own call center, you can hire telecallers across India. And they've also been adopting AI. But I remember talking to the founder like at least 2 years ago. It was like, oh, AI is way more expensive than humans, even for QA.
Yeah,
AI is
it is.
getting cheaper. AI is getting cheaper, but humans in India are still affordable enough to not need AI.
Yeah, I mean, so I last this month specifically, I was checking my bill on Cloud Code. I spent like maybe 2.5 lakhs. You can
What?
definitely get, huh? Yeah. Why is that a big
Jesus,
deal?
2.5 lakhs. You can hire 10 developers in India on that.
Yeah, maybe not 10, but for sure one, right?
Yeah,
I thought like developers are probably where AI would have exploded in India. But
yeah.
even I just saw my bill and I was like, okay, no.
But
Developers
I
are
guess
cheaper than AI.
if you're spending 2.5 lakhs on Claude Code, we might be actually pretty like as a country, we might be spending through the companies in India that hire Indian developers quite a bit on
We
AI
For
code
sure we
gen.
do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, AI
But
code.
no, yeah,
I think with GitHub Copilot, people were using it a
Cursor.
lot. Now we're at Cursor. So every time I talk to developers, especially in India, they're always like, "Yeah, we are rate limited right now."
Yeah, yeah,
So rate limited is the new compiling. So they're always rate limited. And why are they rate limited? Because obviously they're using it a lot. I mean, if you just convert that amount to like real token cost, I think it will be very high. When it is very high, I mean, so that's what I think.
yeah.
In India, the humans are still cheaper than AI. So I think
Sometimes.
we are our jobs are safe for the next 2 years.
I mean, also, I think the other thing in India is like most jobs still are very offline in nature. A majority of the country works in unorganized labor. There's no way AI is gonna like impact construction work on like
Why not?
what the oh like is it gonna
Why?
change how many construction people we hire?
It should ideally, yes. AI with robotics for sure, but not just AI.
Robotics are gonna be way too expensive to be ever deployed in India for the foreseeable future, I would assume.
It's already being deployed in warehouses, for example.
For sure, small use cases, I'm sure. For building business, by building buildings and whatnot, I
I think we still have a way to go in productivity gains by just applying the old machinery. Like we haven't exploited the machines of today before we
No, that
exploit
also
the
exactly.
machine.
Yeah. Maybe we're not trying to industrialize, so AI can't really impact all the people who haven't even industrialized yet.
We are so back that we are I mean, so we are so backwards
No, we're not
that
that bad. Yeah. We're gonna get
uh,
cancelled for that. But okay, I do think, as I've said on multiple times on the podcast, we need consumer AI companies in India.
yeah,
Because,
and
like
for
you
that to
said, yeah,
happen,
yeah.
the cost for tokens need to go down by a lot. So all this 467 billion needs to pay off in a big way for us to
No,
get
but okay, I
consumer
don't think
AI.
like deploying AI products is that expensive.
It is.
We have enough tailwinds in India to know that people use a shit ton of chat GPT, people use a shit ton of AI products. We also have this massive tailwind around consumer products monetizing, like UPI autopay, microtransactions. There's apps that are doing like $4 5 million in revenue. Do you know? So this is a company called Friend.
FRND.
Yeah, they're doing $4 million in monthly revenue.
But
Like
they are
people are.
they are not purely AI. For context, Friend is an app where you can talk to people from the other sex. You can have, you can have text chat and voice chat and video call, probably. Like these are the three ways. What you are saying is now people have started paying for stuff online, which I
Yes.
completely agree.
Yes.
And with UPI autopay, I think this is our India's moment, which US had in 90s because they had credit cards and subscription billing was a thing. Fun fact, I made like a subscription billing application in 2019 and it went nowhere because there was nothing for India. But I think now is probably the a good time to sort of bring that idea back, and somebody should ideally make, like, there are a bunch of tools to be made over there. I think friend app right now is not an AI app, and I think there it can become an AI app because it can very well be just like a character.ai for India.
And as far as I have understood, what do you call it? They are using some AI in some parts of the application, but they are not
Yeah,
an
I mean,
AI native company.
yeah, they would use it for moderation, for example. They might use it for generating thumbnails and stuff like that.
But there is a opportunity to build a lot of these entertainment apps and gaming apps, and like there's a astrology AI company.
Okay.
Like these are opportunities. We finally have a AI girlfriend Indian app as well, Rumik AI.
A friend of mine runs runs an AI girlfriend app, and
What is it
I
called?
think he has told me not to say, but
Okay, okay.
um, but he I was talking about costs with him, and he's
Yeah.
like, the costs are somewhere around $2.5 to $6 7 a month per customer. Like that is how much it costs them for an active customer that's like talking daily.
$6 7 a month it costs just on like cogs.
Yeah, he asked for $15 or something, but he's like, it's not sustainable, at least at these rates. So that's what I'm saying. The cost, if the cost of cogs go down by a lot, right? I think consumer AI can become like a very big deal in India, and maybe now is the right time to sort of invest in those companies, because
Yeah,
then they will take advantage of all the costs falling down.
yeah, and it does seem like, I mean, every year we're still seeing costs decrease like what, 90%. Yes, there is new best in class models that come in every year, but on average, it does seem like the price decrease every year is very very steep. So
Correct.
at some point, we're gonna hit that inflection point in India where like you can massively scale up someone's ability to pay for a product with how much it costs you to service those customers.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Can we transition to business ideas that I had thought are, and they, I think at least one of them was in consumer AI.
Okay, I tell me about your business idea.
Christmas, right? Like you've been in the US and all.
Oh
uh,
yeah, no, I don't know what's Christmas. Please tell me.
so Christmas is getting bigger in India, okay.
Yeah,
And it has been like the trend for since forever, but like I think these days everything is getting bigger in India. So
yeah, yeah.
Christmas is also that. What is the most iconic thing about Christmas that people know?
Christmas tree.
No, India mein kahan, there's nobody using
Okay,
Christmas tree
okay,
in
sorry.
India. It's Santa Claus.
Santa Claus. Yeah, Santa Claus.
Yeah. Santa Claus. Now Have you been around 2 to 10-year-old kids recently?
Not recently, but
You know what they want to do around
they want to
Christmas?
sit on Santa's lap.
That is a US thing.
Okay, they want to ask Santa for stuff.
They want to talk to Santa.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay. Firstly, they want validation because they're like parents are like Santa gift nahi dega ye all that, right? So they want validation from Santa, and they want to talk to Santa, ask for a specific gift, and on Christmas they should get that. Like they don't care about sitting on the lap. I think that's a very US thing. Okay.
ठीक है, ठीक है. I mean,
Uh,
this telling Santa what you want is also historically been a US thing. I used to write letters to
for
Santa
sure.
when I was 4 years old and 5 years old.
I never did that, but people have started doing that now. I mean, for example, I always knew Santa is not real.
Dude, I found out in class one in India that Santa wasn't real in school, and it was a very heartbreaking moment. And like
Oh,
everyone in my class was like, "Oh yeah, like we knew it was fake," and I was like,
yeah.
"We need more consumerism in this country so that the kids can believe in Santa."
Okay, but the kids of now believe in Santa, so
Yeah,
I think
that's good.
you were just late.
Yeah,
I was talking to like a nephew of mine who had come, and I was like just trying to understand what does he want. And out of nowhere, he's like, "I want to talk to Santa." And मैंने बोला अभी से क्यों? He's like, "No, what I want will take time, so I want to tell him now so that he can get it for sure by
yeah, yeah.
Christmas." I realized we have good enough models right now to have a chat with somebody with a PFP or something like that. If somebody puts some more research into it, they can probably create an app where you can video call Santa
Yeah,
and have a chat with them.
yeah.
So this nephew, last year his mother basically called me up normal video audio call. Santa, एक बार इससे बात करना please. And I was like, oh, okay, okay. So I was like, hey, what do you want? you know, the guy obviously he did not recognize my voice because
Yeah,
I changed it a bit, but like, I mean, it's a
uh,
small kid.
yeah,
They would definitely be in a Santa that they can video call in.
yeah, yeah,
And so this is just Santa, okay? But what other things can kids probably want to talk to? Like maybe their parents want them to talk to God, right?
yeah. I was gonna say, yeah, that
So
seems like a natural.
natural
Yeah.
extension to that. So can they talk to, let's say, Krishna, right?
Do the
And
kids have the tooth fairy in India yet, or is that not a
no,
thing? No, that's not picked
no,
up.
no. At least not to my knowledge, maybe. But we still have, like, they want to talk to Chota Bheem, yeah. It's the
Yeah,
same
yeah,
shit,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Or like,
So there,
do you remember this company called Cameo?
yeah, yeah, cameo.
Yeah. So Cameo, what they did for kids was they would let you create AI generated videos of like Coco Melon and
Wow.
Bluey. So like this seems like a you can take like that idea and apply it to like Chota Beam and then also make it real time.
Yeah, so merchandising is essentially it opens up a revenue stream for Chota Beam, and then you also sort of piggyback off of that and sort of
Yeah.
try to make money. So I mean, there are a bunch of characters like these that you can identify. Paw Patrol is there, and then Peppa Pig is there, and all. These are all the new shit that kids watch these days, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But for example, in my time, I would have probably had a chat with Ash Ketchum, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I think I saw an application that was sort of doing this, but they were doing it in English. And because they were also doing it in English, they had like the English voice actors' voice. But in India, you have the dubbed versions, and these kids watch the dubbed version. And by the way, these dubbed versions speak in such Shuddh Hindi that even I
I
don't
know.
get it
Yeah, I
sometimes.
remember.
I'm
Like
like, what?
I learned evolution means Vixit because of watching Pokemon.
Pokemon. Yeah, so the kid told me मेरे को कठिनाई हो रही है. I was like, problem, bro. It's called problem. कठिनाई. So, so, so I mean,
So
yeah. For example, there's
AI Desi Santa, someone should build.
so Santa in Hindi is like probably a big deal. Then you can
Uh,
have all the languages, right? Like Indian languages. I think even Santa, if you can execute very well, maybe you can have like a global audience as well. But then there are Indian characters that you can probably build for India, and while you might not need to sort of limit yourself to India, you can actually build it out for global. This thing, if you can get, let's say, if you understand the cultural nuances and stuff like that, right? Like,
yeah, yeah,
I personally don't know. Like for example, Tooth Fairy, I just know $5 deke jati hai. That's all the thing I know,
$5 तो
right?
मेरे को नहीं मिले कभी, मेरे को तो 1/4 मिलता था।
कब तक? Till when? What was the last
Uh,
age?
Honestly, I mean, after a point, I knew the tooth fairy was fake, and then I just started asking my parents for money.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, tooth fairy is, if you can, let's say, build it out, be like, tooth fairy, mere datu ka kya hua and all that, and
yeah,
maybe in English, right? Not in Hindi, maybe
yeah,
in English. Maybe you can build out like a decent business there. The only problem is real time, it's very costly. That's why I'm again
yeah, yeah.
coming back to the point where it's like the cost of tokens need to go down to the point where these things become impossible.
But I mean, like, kind of the solution to that, at least in the interim, is like you write Santa a letter, like a text letter, and then an AI generated video.
Bro, kids don't write.
Okay.
You like the kids I'm talking to,
Voice note.
voice note, too much voice note, just
Ah,
directly
see,
FaceTiming or video calling you. No heads up, nothing.
no, that's
Like,
something like instead of text and writing a letter, they can record a voice note.
yeah, so voice note, for example, I saw somebody who was sort of doing voice notes over WhatsApp and talk to Krishna.
Yeah,
Like that was done. Like it's happening.
yeah,
They would send a voice note and they will get a video back of
yeah,
Krishna giving telling them answers and
yeah.
stuff. And so that technology is still there, and I think
Ah,
you can obviously get started with that. But the moment we can get this real time, this
yeah,
is where
yeah.
the inflection point comes.
Fair enough. Do you think like real time audio is a good stop gap mechanism? Because I think we've made enough progress there. At least like if you call like a Bluey character, or I don't know what the kids are like watching these days, but like one of the characters, and you're able to talk in Hindi with them and
Yeah.
able to hear them reply in real time, but not see them. That's at least one
So
step.
in audio specifically, right? Like
Yeah.
you don't need models then. Like you can just have a call center.
So, no, but then you can do it in the voice now.
Okay. Voice modulation, I think you can do it
No,
without AI.
but you
But
can.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I get what you're saying.
yeah.
Yeah, that is also there.
I think historically in America, there's been businesses which have been call centers where people can call up Santa and tell them what they want. I would not be surprised if this was a real business in America. Let me.
Interesting. But I think audio, yeah, I mean, you can get started anyway, right? Like you can get started with messages, voice notes, audios, doesn't matter. I'm fairly certain the inflection point will be when real time video is closed, because like the kids, they hardly talk on audio right now. I don't even remember the last time I had a chat with like one of the kids and it was not video. Even when I got a call that it was a Santa call essentially, right? The kid was like, "Nahi, video call." I want video. I don't believe it otherwise, right?
Fair enough. Okay.
They don't put the
Insert.
phone
Yeah.
there. Yeah?
Yeah.
They don't know. They can only talk on, for example, speaker mode and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, like
So
it's interesting if you ask a Gen Alpha person on like what talking on the phone means to them, and you ask a millennial, like a Gen Alpha person would have been like this, and millennial would have been like this.
up till millennials, you pick a phone like this.
Yeah,
I think Gen Z do it this, and
yeah,
Gen Alpha does this.
yeah.
So that's a we
Uh,
see evolution happening right in
yes,
front of our
yes,
eyes.
yes.
Yeah. So another thing that I saw is, this is not related to AI, by the way, but one inflection point that is happening right now is, Tally.
Mm-hmm.
So Tally, how it works is
Yep,
you download the software
yep,
and it works offline,
yep.
right? And there are like legit reasons to do it offline, and there are nefarious reasons to do it offline. Let's focus on the legit reasons. The legit reasons are like it's so fast so offline that web, the latency that comes with the web is like it starts becoming a problem, similar to how people use Excel. They are so fast in the offline mode that they cannot sort of switch to the Google Sheets or any of the online versions, right? Because they're just so fast there. This application called QuickBooks.
Yes.
QuickBooks has a desktop version which they have had since forever, since whenever they started. 2025, they are like they're saying we are going to discontinue our desktop version in favor of the online version. There are estimated to be 25 to 30 million businesses still relying on the desktop version
In America, or
worldwide. That's a huge market who is being asked to shift. away from their habits. So if you can, one, build a great migrator to your own service
Yeah,
and give that service in an offline version
yeah.
and have it as close as possible, like the shortcuts and everything to the QuickBooks, I think there's a big business to be built here.
Because okay, like we've talked about in the past around how sometimes building products in shrinking markets is not always a great idea. At least across the US and most Western countries, internet speed and access is very high and very wide. Even in India, I would say like now 4G penetration, even if you don't have a wired internet connection, is fairly fast and fairly widely available. And then you can also build online software that is local first or offline first.
So
Like
that's what
linear. No,
local
no, no,
first,
no.
online, offline first. That's what I'm saying.
Local first on the browser.
ठीक है. I mean, it installs there. I'm saying,
No,
Obsidian.
yeah, like oh yeah, or like for example, linear. Linear can work entirely on the web,
Yes.
or it works entirely on the web. You can go offline and it'll still save your changes and it'll sync when you're back connected. So if you want to do that, great. But if you're building like a completely siloed offline company, I don't think it's a good idea.
No, I 100% agree. I'm saying, keep the essence of that software alive,
Yeah,
like the shortcuts and stuff like that, right? And obviously, it will have a way to sort of sync that data to the server so that you
yeah,
can use it on multiple computers, right?
yeah.
That's a given. And you want to be able to look at the reports on your phone for sure. Like those things are there. That's why I'm saying nefarious activities aside. Like I'm not talking about,
Not the
you know,
pirated versions of Tally.
uh, correct. Uh, like not the place where let me just say it, black money is being accounted for, right? I'm saying proper legit income, right? uh,
Our thumbnail's gonna be people use Tally for
what?
tallying black money.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, what I'm saying is there's a big shift happening. So assuming, let's say, out of 25 million, 10 million shift to something, they are at least now in the market to at least look at a new alternative because they have to change their habits anyway. You have like maybe 6 months of time to sort of do that. So if you are a builder that can sprint for those 6 months and then start pitching to all the customers of QuickBooks Desktop, for example, you can build like a decent business there, is what I'm trying to say. And you
I,
build it out with the philosophy of Obsidian and stuff, right? Where it is local first,
yeah, yeah,
but I mean, you still have the option to go
yeah.
online. And why local first? Just because I think you have not seen like accountants work in Tally. I have worked with them, so
But
I
okay,
I
okay. I know you've probably seen a lot of accountants working with Tally, but the QuickBook, like I've seen people use QuickBooks, and like it's very popular in America. I don't think those are the same archetype.
maybe.
Yeah,
What do the
like
accountants use in America?
QuickBooks, but they all have internet.
Even accountants have internet here.
Yeah, yeah. But like I'm saying that the bigger the bigger market is to just build a better QuickBooks that also works better offline than to start off with the offline wedge.
Okay. I
Just
think
just
let
build
me
a
let me just
yeah.
let me
Like
rephrase the thing,
okay,
right?
like let's say if there is Jira and then Linear came. And Linear is offline first, local first as well. There is QuickBooks, just build a Linear for QuickBooks.
Sure. I mean, firstly, the timing is the main thing, which I'm saying right now it's there, right? The second thing that I want to emphasize on is Jira, Linear, these are multiplayer software. You don't use it only for yourself.
Yeah.
You have a team that's collaborating. Generally, with QuickBooks and all these things, it's not the case. Like you are the one who was sort of using it completely. Okay. So what that means is you are looking to get out from it as soon as possible because you know all the data that is there.
But okay, in this case, are you talking about a business owner using QuickBooks or Tally, or like someone managing the books for that business?
Someone, not the business owner.
Yeah,
Business
but
owner
then
can use the web. for sure.
So but if if someone is using it on behalf, it naturally becomes a multiplayer product because the business owner has to be involved in the product in some shape or form.
Okay, so right now how it works is the maybe not in the US, I guess, I don't know, but at least in India, the accountants visit you every week and they do your books on your computer.
Okay, I don't think it works like that in America. What do you mean they visit you and do? So they come to your place of work and do your books on your desktop.
Yes.
That's
Because
insane.
tally is that problematic. But having said that, it is
Someone should build like ride share for accountants.
no. So what people have started doing is, any desk and to softwares like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So the day my dad gives like a remote access to his accountant, and he's just sitting there watching the mouse go, and
Hence,
not even the mouse.
hence the need for a multiplayer product. There are
Yeah,
two.
but
There are two machines attached to this one system
actually,
of record.
so the thing is, I was very much happy with my Zoho books. Okay,
Okay.
but then I was always frustrated because it is. I thought it's just the way it is. Like it was
Yeah.
just like a web this thing. I saw my accountant work with me on the same data, and I was like, okay, now I get why this guy is like, I don't want to use Zoho books because let's say to create an invoice, it takes me 35 to 50 seconds. Okay, let's
Okay.
assume that. Okay, this guy gets it done in
3 seconds.
Yeah, that's how fast he is. He's everything done. It's like,
It's like
bro,
those.
itne mein my mouse goes and clicks on clone by the time he's done.
It's like those abacus kids doing math.
Yeah, okay, maybe not three. I might be three
Okay.
is probably not realistic, but like less than 10 seconds for sure.
Yeah.
Have you seen pro people or people in finance use
Yeah. Yeah.
Excel?
Excel. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I've
it's the
seen.
same thing. Like you're like, oh, what just happened?
Okay. Hear me out though. What
Hmm.
if instead you build an interface over this where you can prompt it and we'll just do actions? Why
Sure.
don't have an AI
Why do you
native?
want to? Why do you want to sell to accountants in India?
Everyone will enjoy AI, but okay, okay, I get your point.
The bigger point is QuickBooks is deprecating its desktop software. Out of the 25 million, at least 10 million will be on the lookout for something. So if you want to sprint and build an accounting software, maybe an AI accounting software, now is a good time to build it.
Yeah, I see the market. I still don't.
Yeah.
I feel like that's way too small to like. There's not enough time to build a product
Hmm.
to be able to migrate all of QuickBook information. Or I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah, but you can always try. But what if you build like connectors from QuickBook Desktop to Zoho, or you think that's a better or like other
I don't
company?
know. Maybe. So
Yeah,
right now, what happens is they're like we can export this data to QuickBooks Online, and then you can use QuickBooks Online. So pretty sure there will be takers for that as well.
yeah. Or you build a services company around like, oh, you're on QuickBooks Desktop. We're gonna help you set up on whatever other new system, and we'll migrate all the data for you.
Yeah, I mean, there are multiple places to attack.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This is a
There's no bet.
problem
Yeah,
that I think
yeah,
a lot of companies will face.
yeah. No, fair enough. Because now you also have like, I mean, computer use and browser use agents who can go in and
So yeah,
just
these are the
okay.
two things I
Now,
found this week.
very different ideas. I like the diversity. Uh, Coming to our last topic of the day, we have yet another IPO in India happening soon. Like it's good news for our all our VCs who not been able to return a lot of money because now we're having companies go public and they're able to return money to their LPs. Have you ever bought a mattress in India, Shobhit?
Yes, thrice.
How have you bought your mattresses?
Wakefit.
But I'm curious because I've never bought a mattress in India. So
No, I bought from
oh,
Wakefit.
you did buy from Wakefit, okay.
I don't know if you can see a mattress here, but this is a Wakefit mattress.
Let's go. Yeah, so Wakefit is going public.
Wow.
Yeah, and
When?
it's a fairly large company. I remember hearing about it in like 2017, 2018, but then I did not keep up with the company very much. But do you know they make more than just mattresses now?
Yeah, I think they made furniture as well. I visited their store, so they had like all kinds of house, house decor stuff.
Yes, so they do furniture and furnishings as well. But company was started in 2016. They raised their first round of capital from Sequoia Capital India in 2018. Then across 2020 to 2023, they raised another $90 million from Verlinvest, which is like this Belgian PE firm. Sequoia, SIG, and this other PE firm called InvestCorp. Started off just doing mattresses, expanded into furniture, expanded into doing home decor and furnishings. Mattresses are still kind of their core product. So 62% of their revenue over the last 9 months between April 1st and December 31st comes from mattresses, about 27% from furniture, and then the remainder 11% from furnishings. The most interesting thing about this business, so historically, when you hear about consumer businesses or brands from India, what is like the one thing you always hear? Hint: China.
Okay,
Yeah,
they're
you
built
hear.
in, manufactured in China.
Yeah, yeah. That's what you usually hear.
Yeah.
Um, Wakefit's completely vertically integrated. They have their own manufacturing units for the mattresses and furnitures, which I did not know, and I didn't realize they did that. So
You were impressed. That's what
I
you
was
were.
very impressed. Yeah, yeah, and they're probably like a true actually D2C company. So in the US, this term direct to consumer came about, I think, sometime in the 2010s, and it meant that a company was selling a product directly to their consumer, not through a marketplace. In India, most D2C companies are actually just consumer brands where a majority of the revenue is coming on Amazon or Blinkit or offline retail, but not through their own channel. For Wakefit, about 55% of the revenue comes from their own channels. A large part of that is because they also own and run their own physical offline retail stores, which is probably where. Did you buy it from a retail store or did you buy it online as well?
Online.
Online. So you bought it online, but you've been to a lot of their
So I went to their experience center, and I think by at that time they were only selling online. So
oh, okay, okay. So you could go check it out offline and then buy it online.
correct.
Mattresses seem like a great thing to sell on the internet.
This Casper, you
Yeah,
remember
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Casper
That
in the US?
I've bought multiple Casper mattresses.
Why?
I had one in college. I had one in San Francisco. I had one in Chicago. Like Casper was,
Wait. You had like a mattress in college?
yeah.
Damn. I was given this, gaddi sofa, like cotton gaddi. This thick.
No, I mean we went to American colleges were better than that. But I mean, like
No, but
my
this is what I had bought.
you had
Like
bought.
my
Why did
so
you?
my college gave me a cot.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
Like jo karna hai karo.
Wow. Okay. No, I mean, in our dorm, we had mattresses, but then at college in the US, at least in state schools, you live not on campus. You're third and fourth year, or only fourth year, or second, third, and fourth year. So then most of us bought mattresses, and I was like, who is gonna go to a department store? And then, I mean, I didn't have a car at the time, so I was like, where am I gonna keep this mattress? Am I gonna Uber the mattress home? So let me just buy it online. And Casper was like the hottest G2C company at the time. So then I got a Casper, and then the product was good. So then when I moved to San Francisco, I also got a Casper. And then when I moved to Chicago, I also got a Casper.
But why did you take your mattress along with you?
Do you know how much shipping in America costs?
Your car, put
I
it on
didn't
top
have a
of your car.
car.
You said you had a car,
I
no?
did not have a
No?
car. I said I did not have a car. That's why I
Okay.
bought it online. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Transporting anything that far in America, unless you drive it yourself, like you can rent a U-Haul truck and drive it across state.
But you're saying it's more expensive to ship your own mattress than buy a new one.
Well, I'm sure there are, like, if you're shipping a sizable amount of things, it's not going to be super expensive. But like, if I'm going to spend $250 shipping an old mattress, or like $750 buying a new mattress and having it be delivered on Amazon in 2 days, for me the math worked out to, like, why am I going to box this up, package this up, drop it off
Yeah.
somewhere, wait 2 weeks for it to come? That's the mental model I was.
It's the abundance mindset.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
but so
so Wakefit.
Okay, but Casper's business did not do very well. CACs
Huh.
in America were too high.
Hmm.
Casper went public, stock fell, went private. Company, I have no clue what it's doing now. On the other hand, Wakefit's doing much better. So Wakefit last financial year did 100 crores in revenue. The year previous to that, Wakefit did 820 crores in revenue, and then the year before that, they did 630 crores in revenue.
Damn.
This calendar year ke 9 months, so FY 25 ke first 9 months, Wakefit has already done 994 crores.
Wow.
So, like, it certainly seems like the business is still growing. Historically, one of the issues had been losses. Those have also been reducing. In FY 23, Wakefit had 145 crores in losses. FY 24, it was 15 crores in losses. And then current 9 months, May, they've only lost 8.8 crores.
So wait. FY25, what was the loss?
FY 25 खत्म नहीं है report return.
Okay, so before
So
that,
FY 24, 15 crores.
that's what you said,
Uh,
125. I was like, okay.
Oh yeah. So FY 23, it was 145 crores ka loss. FY 24 was 15 crores ka loss.
Oh,
So massive reduction in,
massive reduction.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so they're still not profitable, but seem to be close to the path of that. The problem with Casper was they were highly unprofitable when they went public, and they never turned a profit even while they were public.
And what is the valuation they are going public at?
That is
Va-
not available on the internet. I don't think
But okay.
the pricing has not been set. I
Okay.
can see how much they're trying to raise. I
Hmm.
think it was like 450 crores. Yeah, 468 crores.
So you can probably say that they are maybe diluting 20% more.
I have no clue. I don't want to speculate on the
Okay.
pricing. They're going to be, I assume they're going to be valued way above 200 million. I
Hmm.
don't know if that's
Hmm.
I don't know if that's like 500 million or 700 million or 800 million or 300 million, but I would assume that they're going to be valued more than 200 million. That is my
Nice.
that is my only uh, contribution to this statement. But it is impressive that they, like, I think in D2C or consumer brands, one thing we hear a lot is, oh, 100 crore ka brand bana do, 100 crore ka brand. They're 1,000 crore brand now. Very, very cool to see.
Nice. So I think I just opened their funding round. So 2018 December they raised 9.26 from peak 15. December 15, 2020 they raised 25.1. 2021 they raised 27.3 million, and then 2023 again they raised 43.3 million. And I think now is the IPO round. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I think that their last Series D was in January 2023,
Yes.
and it was Invest Corp. I think you had mentioned that, and then Peak 15, and some more that I can't see.
Yeah. And then very interestingly, that in that round, Elevation Capital bought some amount of, or after that, Elevation bought some amount in secondaries.
Hmm.
So I don't know how much, but I saw a lot of mentions of Elevation Capital in the DRHP. They did not acquire any primary equity in the company, but I think bought out some of the existing shareholders or early employees, and then like some equity from the founders as well. The last thing, or one more thing that I thought that was interesting to mention is historically you also see a lot of Indian companies dilute too much, and then the founders aren't left with too much stake, right? Like we've seen this with multiple unicorns. The founders still own 43% of Wakefit.
Damn.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate because my wife used to run this company called Need, and because of that, she has had like multiple chats with people from Wakefit. And obviously, so I can't tell everything, but one thing that I found which was very interesting, their Series A was in 2018,
Yeah.
and I think they were having problems growing that year onwards. And their Series A was what 9.26, and Series
Uh,
B was 25.
yeah.
Okay, what really worked for them was they had Wigfit had a campaign called Sleep Intern campaign, where
Oh.
so in 2019 they basically came up with a campaign, and it was not really something that they had planned to make it go viral. They were just trying out
Yeah.
something, and the campaign was that come join Wakefit as a sleep intern and get paid, I think about 1 lakh rupees or so, to sleep. And that was the hook, which got picked up by media and whatnot, and
Yeah.
it went
Yeah.
super viral
Yeah.
to the point where they were like, okay, every year they started doing it after that.
Yeah. Right.
So now they are like at season 5 or 6 or something.
Yeah.
They still are hiring Wakefit interns to sleep, and they are now the prices has been up to like 10 lakh rupees or something.
That's interesting. I mean, so basically, it was kind of like they did this thing for like brand awareness, and then it really picked up, and then it started just
No, so
compounding.
I think what they had done earlier was they were like basically hiring people to research. Somebody in the marketing thought, okay, this is something that we can do internship as well, and just
Yeah.
write a tweet or something. It was supposed to be like a social media
Yeah.
content
Yeah. Yeah.
play, which turned into a whole full blown
Brand awareness campaign.
brand awareness campaign. Basically, they're like, we can see the whole difference in our sales from the day that went live versus before. Like there's a proper inflection point over there. So
Who would have
I
thought? Like the internet, Hangout for Twitter.
but these are the kind of stories that I only hear from
Yeah. Yeah.
podcasts outside of India, and for the first time I was like, oh, this happens in India as well. I'm so happy.
Yeah, because I think with Casper, like I think the thing that everyone remembers, at least in the US, was that 100 days free returns. And if you don't like the product, you can return it in 100 days. And
And every podcast they had sponsored.
yeah, that also. So wait for it. If you want to grow faster from this point, you know what to do.
Okay. On that
Oh,
note,
also, we should also add a disclaimer that this is not financial advice. This is not a recommendation of subscribing to the IPO. We are not
we don't even
liable.
know the price. We don't
Yeah,
even
yeah,
know anything.
we
Yeah.
don't. We are vibe podcasters. Please do your own research if you are looking to look at this.
Yeah. And if you do
Don't tell us.
listen,
Yeah,
yeah.
we don't want to know.
Yeah. But please like this video, yaar.
Yeah,
Come
yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah.
We love
Share the
so much.
podcast. Don't share if you what your thoughts on Wakefit are, but please share the podcast.
Yeah. Like this video, share the podcast. We don't get enough comments except people just criticizing our audio. I mean, come on.
Guys, if you've read this far, comment.
If you've read, huh?
Oh, sorry. If you watch this far, comment Casper.
Casper or yeah, Casper.
Yeah, because we're not going to mention that in the description anywhere, so it means that they're actually listening.
Okay, cool. I think
See ya.
that's enough for the for this one.
Yeah, we'll see you next time.